bright and beautiful Thursday morning to you. This is July 12th, 2022, and we are at the Worthington Diamond Recovery Plant, located just a short distance outside of Southwest Arkansas's Crater of Diamond State Park. I want to show you things look a little different than the last time you saw a video from us. This state-of-the-art diamond recovery plant was imported from South Africa, and I want to explain that originally it ended right here. So the large material goes in at the top, and the real coarse rocks go out the end over there, but everything else comes down this chute over here. Let me show you. So the big material goes in the hopper, all of it, fine, all the way to coarse rock, and rolls around in this scrubber, and the large material falls out the end over there, and everything else comes down this chute and goes into this smaller trommel scrubber, and it rolls around, and the fine material drops out here and goes to a rubber tire jig on the other side. The coarser material drops out here and goes to a different set of jigs on the other side, and then everything else comes over here. Well, all this size rock would be just discarded. Well, I don't want to discard it. There could be a diamond in it. So for a while I made do with what I had, and that was a gold sluice I put on here. It had riffles and went down there, and I had pumps pumping water down it, and the heavy minerals were captured behind those riffles in that sluice. Well, I decided we weren't going to do that anymore because I had to find something to do with, excuse me, it's 8:30 in the morning, but it's already hot. It's going to be 100 degrees later. I was trying to video so you wouldn't have to look at a sweaty old diamond miner, but it's too late. It's already hot out here, but at least it won't be as bad as when it's 100 later. Anyway, we got online and ordered this rock crusher. It weighs almost as much as I do, and that's saying something. I love everything about it except this is the little feed chute that came on it, and I messed with it for hours trying to make that work. Decided we're throwing that away, and I went to the hardware store and I got a thing that went from square to round, and then being an old plumber, you can see there's a plumbing solution to everything. I got this giant fern coat that works like a big rubber funnel and mounted it on there. Well, I had this gravel pump. I've had it for years but haven't been able to use it. I haven't got the right motor on it. Well, I took a gamble and ordered a motor on the internet, a 220 volt that spun really fast, and I think the only problem with the gravel pump is I wasn't spinning it fast enough. I had a 110 volt that didn't have as many RPM as this 220. So I ordered it, mounted it, and just yesterday afternoon I hooked the pulley up. But the real magic to this is we had a master electrician come out Friday, and our power, swing you around here too fast, you probably get dizzy. So our power comes in on this pole. It is a separate power pole than we have for our office, which is there, and this is our mining office. But so the power for the diamond recovery plant comes to this pole and then goes underground, and it comes to this breaker box here. Well, then we ran conduit underground from that breaker box to power this equipment, and so it comes to this. So that conduit runs underground all the way. I dug the ditch way back when we put a pipe in it. Well, it was nice we had the conduit, because when I decided to add more equipment here, he just pulled more wires in that conduit and then ran this line off of that box and made a substation here, mounted this, and now I have power. Let me show you. So So I've got a couple of breakers here, one for the rock crusher and one for the gravel pump. They're both 220 volt. So you might be wondering, well, how many diamonds have you found lately? Well, I haven't found any diamonds lately because I haven't been running the diamond recovery plant. For one thing, the man who feeds it brings his skid steer over and feeds the plant. He had knee surgery, had his left knee replaced, so he has to recover from that. So while he was down, I thought, I'm going to finally fix what I don't like about this plant. I didn't like the sluice. I mean, it worked, but I had all these buckets to deal with all the time. It was wearing me out, just handling all the larger size material that came out of it. Now it should go into this funnel, into the rock crusher, and directly in there. And I'm still going to have water coming out. Let me show you a different view. So I'm still going to have my Hillbilly spray bar here, and the water will be pumped from, this is our return water plant, but I'll borrow the water, pump it down in there, so the large material that comes will go through this opening and into the funnel, into the rock crusher, and then into the gravel pump. That does work. I just hooked it up and we got power to it. And then the gravel pump will send it via this green hose, if you can see it here, and the hose will go all the way up and feed back in. And this time when the gravel comes around, it will be smaller, and it will be small enough to go through here and be jigged and find the diamonds in it. So I've ended up with too many rocks that needed to be crushed. What is the sense? This is my thinking here. What is the sense in feeding tons into the plant and you're really only sampling 75% of the diamonds in it? And there could be diamonds in those big chunks that are discarded here, and I need to break those chunks so I can see what diamonds are in it. Then we'll actually be processing 100% of everything that goes through the plant instead of discarding 25%. What I did for a while was I saved all this material and piled it up over the winter and thought that, well, it'll weather, it'll freeze, it'll get wet, it'll break, it'll erode, and then I can just scoop up all that material and run it through. Well, it did not erode properly over winter, so now we're going to get tough with it and crush it with the rock crusher, pump it with the gravel pump back up into the top, run it through and be done with it. Quit handling it, storing it, waiting all winter. We'll immediately know the results. If there was a diamond in there, we'll get it out. Another thing I was doing while we were down, so we have water that comes into this buried, recessed wash tub, and I pump it out. I pump it over here, and I go through that fine material and look for diamonds in it. But sometimes when the tub overflows, then it erodes this bank, it washes it out, and I need to walk through there. So for a long time, I had this for walking across, which it worked great. I never had a problem, but I've often thought with my cell phone in my pocket, what if I fell? And if I fell, I would go in the soup over there. Well, I had these two big chunks of iron left over. This was imported from South Africa with the diamond recovery plant. These are the original legs, and we had them on there at first. You can see where they bolted on here, and it made the plant too tall to feed. We couldn't feed it. It wasn't working. The legs were too tall. So we put 6x6s and 4x4s under there until we got it the right height. And I was concerned that it might vibrate and move and stuff, but it hasn't. It stayed put. So it worked fine. We don't need the legs. The legs have sat over there under a couple of trees for a while, and I decided to put them to good use. I loaded them by hand in my trailer behind my truck, And I backed the trailer up here and I chained onto them. They're real heavy. They're heavier than me. So I'm saying real heavy. So chained onto them one at a time, lifted them with the mini X. My neighbor who has the skid steer that feeds the plant brought his mini X over here and left it for me to use. So I set one into place, and then I went and loaded another one, set the other one into place, and then last night I got in there with a shovel and dug around. We pumped all the water out of this settling pond, this water recirculation pond, so that I could get down in there and work. So last night I dug around there and I got the feet set just where I wanted them, and I'm pleased with that. But so this bank wouldn't erode away, I poured concrete. I put a couple of concrete blocks in there. You can see them. The morning sun is so bright. But I put a couple of concrete blocks in there and I staked them so they wouldn't roll down the hill. And then I poured 4 bags of concrete in there, mixed it up by hand. And so I'm going to do a little more work. I think I'm going to put some plywood on this side of those legs and put gravel in there with the Mini X and help preserve this bank, and it'll make it safer and easier for me walking across here. And it doesn't cost anything but a little time to do it. The other thing we're doing, after I pumped all the water out of this, I needed to fill it back up. Well, instead of running a pump, I'm just siphoning the water. This is being siphoned from, we have our supply water pond up there by that tree, but we're just siphoning the water down instead of paying for an electric pump to pump the water down. But I'll need that water soon because I want to test run this gravel pump. So anyway, we've got water there going. I'm going to work on finishing this up, putting that wall in there and filling it with gravel. And I've got to put some more braces on this gravel, on the rock crusher, because it vibrates and I don't want it coming off. I just got it perched on the edge of that gravel pump to where it will discharge into the gravel pump. But I need to brace it off so the vibration doesn't walk it off of there and fall and break. So anyway, we've invested a lot of money in this. We haven't found any diamonds in the last month because we haven't run the plant in the last month. I think we ran it June 14th was the last time, and here it is July 12th. But we're getting things set up to where we can run efficiently and it'll be better, and Mac is about healed up and ready to go back. So hopefully in a couple of days I'll have everything done and he'll be healed up to where we can run the plant and start finding diamonds again. Thanks for joining me for this update at Genuine Diamonds in AR.